K45, 50 Cent, I'm the man. Rude Jude is in L.A., Lord Sears in New York. Special guests out there. What's going on?
I always like when people who are smarter than me show up, and we have an author on, Asia Raden, author of Stoned, Jewelry Obsession and How Desire Shapes the World.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good.
It's good to have you on here. Now, Stoned, you talk about, 8 different types of gems?
It's pieces of jewelry.
That help propel the world into the direction that we're at now, is that?
Yeah, it's 8 different pieces of jewelry that function sort of like turning points, pivot points in the history of economics and military history and technological history.
Now, I was reading in your bio that this actually came from this whole idea you was drunk at a party.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot, actually.
What was you drinking on?
I don't remember.
Oh, you're a real drunk. All right. Okay.
Okay, I was in Paris.
All right. So
everybody's drunk in Paris, so there's an element of relativity.
All right. So you drink. We'll just call it cognac. You're going off of cognac in Paris. Someone shows you a ring. There's a diamond in it. They're like, "How much is it worth?" And you say,
they're nothing, really. It's worth nothing.
Diamonds are worth nothing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Explain
people are
that to
upset
me.
when they hear that. Actually, the way it started was the girl next to me at this party was wearing a ring I had designed.
Okay.
Because I was the head designer for a big jewelry company for years until I got in a fight with my boss and quit the week before and ended up drunk in Paris. And she said, "I heard you design jewelry." And I said, "Yep." And she said, "What kind?" And I was like, "Well, funny you should ask. That kind." And she got very excited and told her husband, who's now my book agent, and he was the one who said, "Well, is it a good one?" And I'm like, "Fuck you, man. Of course it's a good one. I don't design bad ones." And he said, "No, the diamond. Is it a good diamond? What's it worth?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's really good." And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Okay, the truth about diamonds is they're all the same. They're not really worth anything. The value is 100% imaginary. It was manufactured for us as a marketing campaign, the diamond engagement ring, to sell off a fuck ton of diamonds that this company called De Beers had managed to unscrupulously consolidate control over and then suddenly had no one to sell them to.
So they created demand.
They invented a product that would hold a very small diamond to sell to the middle class in America, which was the class of people who were coming up and suddenly had money because the aristocracy's gone.
And we need to show new money needs to show that they got money, and the diamond is a way to do
exactly.
that.
Exactly. It's a way of showing you belong to the, right, air quotes, class.
And diamonds themselves, they actually, correct me if I'm wrong here, they manipulate how many are released so that they don't flood the market. Therefore, they keep the price high, right? Is that
100%. Here's the deal. There was a diamond rush in South Africa long time ago, in the 1800s, in the Orange River. And it was a rush, like the gold rush or the silver rush. The problem was it never fucking stopped rushing. We find more and more every year. Turns out they're pretty much semi-precious gravel. But because so much money and blood and effort was put into assembling this, dare I say, cartel, they didn't want to let it go, so they said, "Here's what we do. We lie." Obvious solution, we say they're rare, and we just don't sell most of them every year. And the few we sell, we say are all of them, and we jack the prices way the fuck up.
So there's a stockpile of diamonds somewhere in Africa.
It's called the overhang.
It's called the overhang? How many diamonds are over, do you think?
The extra?
Yeah.
Enough to flood the market and make diamonds worthless.
How much would they be worth, like $2 or some shit like that? Like that cheap?
Well, that's kind of what the book's about. What would they be worth? What's a stone worth? What makes a stone a gem? Would they be worth anything at all? Because I'm not going to pay you for your driveway gravel. On the other hand, if you tell me this is a ruby, I'll pay you a lot for it.
What? Yeah, let me jump in here, Age. Well, all right, since there, I got so many questions. Why? Since so many of us do know the truth, how come we're still putting all this value on bullshit?
Well, that's a simple question with a complicated answer. And it has to do with a burgeoning field called neuroeconomics. It basically is how your brain deals with money.
Okay.
And value, and it turns out there's a spot right in between your eyes, about an inch in, called the, I always mix these up,
You can lie to us. We're not going to know.
PVM's preventromedial frontal cortex.
And
I was
that's-
trying to give you the short version. It's a spot in your brain that literally confuses love and money. So it deals with what things are worth, your assessment of a thing's value in your brain. It also is the spot in your brain where you deal with what things are emotionally worth to you, and clearly wires fucking get crossed.
And with the help of propaganda, they're like,
Exactly.
This diamond equals love.
Well, we have been socially conditioned to obtain that which we are taught is valuable.
And diamonds,
We've been taught are valuable, and so we must have them.
Well, all right, let's say I do like rocks. Let's say I do like gems.
Yeah.
What would be, and if we've already established that diamonds are bullshit,
They're pretty, but they're not rare.
okay, in rarity, a lot of times that dictates how much something's worth. What is a good fucking jewel to get behind where you don't feel like a total dick wearing this shit?
Well, there are a lot of ways to feel like a dick. You can feel like a dupe, like you've been tricked into buying this by an advertising company. That would be diamonds. You can feel like a dick. I'm going to be in so much trouble when this is over.
Don't you worry about it. No one's listening. It's just me and you. There's no one out there. Just
No one.
I meant somebody's going to snipe me from a rooftop from one of these companies. You can feel like a dick because you bought rubies that came out of mines where children are sent in to die because it's cheaper to put more in than to feed them. You can...
But aside from the social, like,
I'm just saying there are a lot of ways to feel like a dick. If
yeah,
you're
but
looking
like
for something that's genuinely scarce.
aside from people like getting their throats stepped on, because I feel like that happens no matter where we go.
That happens in every industry, no matter
So,
what we're talking
let's
about.
push that aside.
Yeah.
I just figured that's what's happening anyway. Like shit, your shoes, your Jordans are made by fucking slaves.
Yeah.
All right, so rubies, are those good? Yay or nay?
There are two kinds. The really beautiful ones are extremely rare. They come from Myanmar, and they are higher resale value per carat more often than not than white diamonds.
Okay. What about sapphire? Like I'm naming birthstones here.
Well, rubies are actually red sapphires.
Is that so?
Which most people don't know. Yeah. Most gemstones are clear, like diamonds, and when they're colored, it's because some sort of impurity seeped in. When the impurity is iron, they turn blue, and we call it a sapphire. When the impurity is chromium, they turn red, and we call it a ruby. So they're really the same stone.
What about yeah, I was going to say.
Emeralds? Emeralds are hot. Emeralds helped create paper money, actually.
Emeralds, is that why money's green?
Well,
Or I'm just guessing.
not
at
all
things.
money's green, but yeah,
My money's
green
green.
has always been associated with wealth
Why
and
is that?
abundance. Well, your eye sees 510 nanometers of light more clearly than anything else. You evolved to look for that color. You actually see it better and brighter, and it has a physical effect on you. Those green lights on your control board there, if we both stare at them, we will become relaxed and excited at the same time and happy.
That's why before you're like, we're going to go on stage, they would have the green room, which was painted green. To help put you in a
Exactly.
good
They've
mood.
started doing it in prisons and mental hospitals.
No shit.
Yeah, it's very effective. But emeralds are genuinely rare because they only formed at one point in history when giant mountains like the Andes and the Himalayas were being thrust upward because the continental shelf got hit with the other piece at the bottom of the ocean.
No shit. So emeralds, that's the one I want to
I
get.
love emeralds.
I see you rock. Is that an emerald on your finger right there?
Yes, it is.
Crushing it. All right, let's jump back to the book. I think I really appreciate you explaining fucking diamonds to me, because I heard something about it in a podcast, but like I want to explain it to the listeners. But you did such a good job. Let's talk about the whole thing about Manhattan being bought with some beads, and
Sure.
like how we look at it nowadays, and we're like, oh, the natives were duped, and
Yeah.
it wasn't such a bad deal.
It wasn't a bad deal at all, actually.
Explain
They got a
that to
great
me.
deal. Well, first of all, they got a great deal because they sold it several times to several different people. So, who's hustling who. But also, it wasn't a bad deal because glass was a rare and precious material in a lot of places. Venetian glass beads were these beautiful beads that were sort of difficult to make, and they were used as trade beads. The Europeans would take them to Africa, to Indonesia, to the Americas eventually, and they would use them like Renaissance-era traveler's checks.
So this wasn't like when you got like a 4-year-old, when you're 10, you go to your little 4-year-old cousin like, oh, I'll trade you these 3 pennies for that $1 because 3's more than 1. They weren't getting over. They were actually bringing
this would be more like if some Martians showed up and said, we need a spot for our embassy and I will pay you in these Martian rocks. I don't have any rocks from Mars, do you? I could sell those to my neighbor for $1 billion.
Yeah, and cake the fuck up.
Yeah.
We got Asia Raden here. She wrote the book Stone, Jewelry Obsession and How Desire Shapes the World. 888-742-3345. If you got any questions for her, call her up right now. 888-742-3345. Let's go into a song. Do you got that Jewel song over there, or you want me to try to play it from my end?
Can you play it, Jude?
Yeah, let me pull that shit up. 888-742-3345. You got any questions dealing with jewelry, stones? Are basically all stones mined by little fucking...
No, there's a company called Gemfields. The CEO, Ian Harbottle, was nice enough to give me an interview. He's doing amazing things for the communities he's working in. He's, profit sharing. He's replanting in places that have been torn up. They don't have to be mined like that. They just consistently have been because of greed.
Let me ask you, I heard before, so I was reading somewhere that aluminum was once like a precious metal.
Yeah, anything that's scarce is precious. I mean, haven't you ever looked at a girl and gone, she's cheap? That just means easy to get.
Common.
Ubiquitous. Everybody can have it. If everybody can't have it, it's precious.
And there it is. Here's a... I don't have jewels either. Oh, wait, here it is. OC, jewels. Let's 888-742-3345. 888-742-3345. We have Asia Raden. Let's jump off into this shit right now. Hey, Sam, if it sounds like shit, I might have to dump out of it. You know how my computer's been acting.
Yeah, we're going to find out. Let's go. This is the All Out Show on Shade 45.
888-742-3345. We got the phone lines filled up. We have author Asia Raden here. She wrote the book Stone, Jewelry Obsession and How Desire Shapes the World. If you missed it, diamonds ain't worth shit, and rubies are pretty good, and emeralds come from mountains.
That was an excellent synopsis. I would give you a gold star.
Well, I would accept that gold star, Asia. All right, let's go to the phone lines. A bunch of people want to holler at you.
Who we got, son?
Well, shoot, let's see. Let's go to Jose in Massachusetts. Jose. Oh, hold on a second. My shit's fucked.
Put him on hold.
Hold on.
You and me both.
You ain't lying. All right, go ahead, Sam. If you can.
Hello.
Hello there, Jose.
Jose, what up, though?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm a huge fan, and this is the first time I ever called, so I'm kind of surprised I'm getting through, but this is awesome. And second of all, I've been hip to diamonds being bullshit, and my girlfriend, she gives me bullshit about it, because she's like, oh, my God, I want this ring. And I'm trying to come up with a reasonable solution for not blowing tons of money on worthless diamonds, but yet still getting something that's, meaningful and it's still not breaking the bank, So is there a reasonable solution? Is there something to kind of meet a girl that's like crazy over diamonds halfway?
His girl's...
Find a smarter girl.
Yeah, I was going to say his girl's brainwashed. Your girl's brainwashed.
If making her aware that this necessary luxury, as Oppenheimer put it, was created through propaganda and she's a dupe, doesn't do it, and the pictures of the tortured African children doesn't do it, hit her with, they're not really worth anything. And De Beers has gone into technology because the future of the value of diamonds, interestingly enough, is real. It's real in diamond computing because they don't get hot like silicon. So we're going to be able to run supercomputers at unbelievable speeds with incredible power as soon as we can grow diamond circuit boards. And they can already grow diamonds, so how about a lab-grown diamond? Ask her how she feels about that. That's actually very cool. I have several.
Can they tell is it hard to tell a lab-grown?
Well, guess who invented
De Beers?
well, guess who invented the detection devices? De Beers. Yeah. One of the first, it was either the first or one of the first companies to manage it. I mean, it's like alchemy. It's something people have always wanted to do. But one of the first people to manage it was a company called Gemesis, and they've since been eaten up by the market. But now De Beers is working on moving into technology because I think they can tell the wind is changing, and people are getting hip to the fact that they invented diamond engagement rings to sell them stones they didn't want.
This is what you do. You get her one of them little bootleg diamonds, and then you give her the stone book and tell her to read that
buy
shit.
her my book and get her a lab-grown diamond. Or, you know what, there are a lot of other really beautiful stones.
Yeah, get her some dope stones, bro.
She won't like cubic zirconia.
I heard what you were saying, and I was like, wow, I might as well get her this fucking book, and that might solve all my problems. But at the same time,
can she read? You don't sound as smart.
You can't read.
You know, it looks a lot like diamonds, but is a real gemstone. Zirconia. It's or zircon. Cubic zirconia is a fake stone. It's a synthetic, but zircon is a real gemstone, and it sparkles just like a diamond, and they are beautiful. They're hard to find because they're in a lot of antique jewelry, but just Google it. Google natural zircon.
Yeah,
and if people want to get hip to this too, they could check out Adam Ruins Everything. This is how I found out about it. They did a show on it on TV or
a few months ago,
something like that. Yeah, and literally after I saw that, I was like, "Yo, fuck diamonds. Who the hell wants to waste money on that bullshit? Like, what the fuck is this?"
Adam Conover. Yeah, I turned on the TV and I saw that about a week before my book came out, and I'm like,
Jose, what the fuck are you doing plugging other people's show on my show?
It's a TV show.
All right, fine.
Hey, oh shit.
Well, I turned on my TV and I see it, and he's basically doing my shtick from chapter 2, and I was like, fuck you, Adam Conover. And then I watched the rest of the show, and the rest of it wasn't about jewelry, and it was actually pretty good.
All right, let's keep
Dude knows his shit.
Let's keep this shit going. We got 360 calling from Charleston. Go ahead, 360.
Hey, yo, what's going on? How you doing, Lady Rude Jew? You the man. Check it out. I was wanting to know, if, throughout your extensive research, if you came across why, like, the Africans and the Egyptians, like, why Africa's, like, just got so much jewelry and the gems. Like, what did it do for them besides fashion? Because back then it couldn't have just been fashion. So do you, do any research on what these jewels do to the human body, since we're, like, composed of every element in the world? What it got to do with us wearing these jewels and these, rubies and diamonds and everything, stones and everything?
Yeah, in ancient Burma, warriors believed that they would be invulnerable or more powerful in battle if they had a ruby, but it wasn't enough to wear it. They had to cut themselves open and put it inside their skin and stitch it closed, which I think is very cool.
That's fucking G as shit.
Yeah, isn't it? That's OG. Anyway, they, like we were saying about emeralds, they have an effect on the human brain. Just sparkles. Any kind of sparkles, really. It could be a gum wrapper on the ground, but sparkles have an effect on the human brain because we've evolved since long before we were human, long before we were primates even, to look for water. So when we see something shiny or something glittery, our brain lights up and goes, oh, thank God, and I must have it.
So it's life.
Yeah, it's life.
Sparkle equals life.
Sparkle equals life. Well put.
That's wild as shit. And even if a stone doesn't actually do anything, it's the intention behind it a lot of times. It's it's the mental intention.
Oh, the placebo effect is very real.
Let's go to Anwar in Illinois.
Anwar.
Hey, how we doing today, man? From Illinois, but I'm going to go ahead and rep out Travis Air Force Base out here in California because that's where I'm stationed at.
All right.
My question is, my son was born in June, so his birthstone is pink. So it's a two-part question. One, is there a way to make that a little bit more masculine? And two, more importantly, for me and my wife to both share in our son's birth, what is a good stone to use to represent that?
To represent your son or the month? I'm sorry, I'm not quite.
June? Yeah, like
to represent my son, like his birthstone is pink.
Oh.
So, what should
rubies. Rubies are pink, and like I just said, warriors used to cut themselves open, and that's the most metal thing I've ever heard. So I don't think you should feel bad about red or pink. And I think it's a good color for babies born. It's the
Also,
color of blood. It's the color of life.
And also, like back in the day, blue used to be feminine and pink was masculine. It's all
That's
what,
true.
it's
You
all
know,
what we assign
high
to things.
heels were invented by the Persian cavalry, and they were the most feared warriors in their day, and they could kill everybody from horseback. They were like any Game of Thrones fans out there. They were like I forget what they're called. I'm going to say it wrong.
Dothraki?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, they were intense. And they invented high heels because the heels clicked into their stirrups. And they could stand up, they could turn around, they could do any shit they wanted on horseback. And it became a symbol of masculinity to wear heels. And for a long time, women would never wear heels. That's not feminine.
Then they figured out it accentuated them calf muscles and then made the ass pop out a little bit. And then the strippers started rocking them bitches. And then you went broke. So Anwar, like, yo, give him a fucking pink stone. That's his goddamn stone. Claim that shit.
No. I'm most definitely gonna get the little brother pink stone, and me and the wife gonna rep it to the fullest because that's our firstborn. We love him to death, and I just wanted to really find out if there was like I said, a way to make it more masculine. But it's pink. You got to be comfortable with your own skin. And
there are a lot of shades of pink. There's a lot of shades of pink. There's like an orange. Pink. Is it a ruby or January's a garnet? June's a ruby, right?
I think so.
You don't even know.
I don't know.
You don't love your son. You don't even know, bro.
Well, they come in all shades. There's like a dark one that's almost black red. I mean, you get any color stone you like, and it's all about how you set it.
Bam.
Most definitely.
You get me stoked to rock some jewelry and shit now, because,
Right on.
The only shit I really do is collect vintage wristwatches.
I love watches.
Do you? As do I. I don't like them to have a quartz movement. I like them shits to be automatic or manual.
Yeah.
Tell me about watches. What do you know about them?
Okay, so the last chapter in the book is about watches and the invention of the wristwatch, because believe it or not, it didn't occur to anybody to strap one of these things onto their wrist until the turn of the century.
It was all pocket watches.
It was all pocket watches. Before there were pocket watches, they were bigger. Henry VIII demanded a necklace watch the size of a salad plate.
Like Flavor Flav.
I was about to say, yeah, keep it classy, Henry.
So he started that shit.
Yeah.
Who the fuck knew?
Yeah. He did. Always the trendsetter. And the thing with pocket watches are ladies' watches were not a big market because watches were terribly expensive. They were like laptops back in the mid to late 1800s. And the presumption was if you were poor, you couldn't afford one. And if you were rich, as a man, you had to have one. But as a woman, your time was worthless. You had nowhere to go and nothing to do. And your time wasn't important enough to own a watch. So they made them, but they only made a few of them. And they were more decorative than anything else. And then there was this Countess Kauskowitz. And she wanted to make a point about how much money she had and show up this other princess. So she went to Patek Philippe, who were like Apple. They made the coolest shit. And she said, I want you to replace this diamond in my bracelet with a working miniature clock the size of my pinky nail. And they were like, yeah, we can do that. It took them 5 years, but they managed it. And when she debuted it, made this huge sensation. And rich women all over the world went, oh my God, I have to have one of those, like the first iPod.
Yeah.
And the thing is, simultaneously, the Boer Wars happened, and they were the very beginning of modern warfare. They came World War I came right on their heels. And they were having trouble with, automatic weapons and timed firing and pocket watches. Because by the time you get to World War I, we've gone from bayonets and horse cavalry charges and cannons to machine guns and gas masks and airplanes and submarines.
So all right. So why do you need the watch for machine guns then?
Creeping barrage was one of the most effective tactics in World War I. In the dark.
Okay.
They would lay down cover fire for a few seconds, and then a large line of men would creep forward. They would lay down cover fire again for a few.
But
and you had to time it.
They'd be like, "All right, man, we're gonna bust at these cats for 35 seconds straight.
Yes.
At the end of it, you got 20 seconds.
Everybody synchronize. Yeah.
And that's how the wristwatch.
That's how
became
World War
popularized.
I was won by the Allies. The Germans didn't have wristwatches. They thought they were too effeminate, and some of these British soldiers started snapping the fronts off their pocket watches and strapping them down on their wrists, remembering the ladies' watches back home, and they called them strap watches, strap-ons. And when they got
Now, strap-ons are dildos that you have sex with.
Yes, they are. And I did not fail to make jokes about that in my book.
Good for you.
Yeah. And I think it's in the section Bros Before Hoes. But what they did was they came back and they said, we have to have these. So the War Commission got some newly founded companies like Rolex to make rough, tough, manly wristwatches. That's why Rolex are stainless steel still.
And is that where the trench watch came from because of trench warfare?
Exactly. They were called, instead of calling them strap-ons because it was silly, they called them trench watches once they made them
like, no,
for
that's
real.
what lesbians fuck each other with. Let's.
Yeah, well, also because they didn't have to strap them on anymore. They made them for them, and they had metal grill covers. So
that
they
you
wouldn't
didn't
break.
bust the crystal.
Yeah, and the Germans didn't have it, and they're just standing there, with their dick in their hand, winding their pocket watch while they got their asses whooped.
And that's that. And that's
that's
how the war was won.
Yes.
You sprinkled us with so much knowledge today. We really appreciate you coming on here and telling us all about jewels, and there's tons more information here in this book. It's called Stoned. It's Jewelry Obsession and How Desire Shapes the World. Check it out, y'all. Asia Raden, it was really a pleasure chatting with you.
Yes.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.
Shade 45, let's go. This is the All Out Show on Shade 45.